Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. All right.
Cool.
Welcome to this podcast is Uncalled For.
What's uncalled for about it?
Well, you can't tell anybody this.
I'm listening.
Well, oh my God, what are you doing?
I didn't see the big deal about the human body.
I worship Cthulhu just for the free beer.
Yeah, and don't go to Sam's Club either.
But you didn't even give him a chance for a wild card spot.
What are we doing at Tijuana?
He was like, what did you just say?
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is uncalled.
Podcast, alright.
Yeah, that was the most ridiculous ending to that game that I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up. Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up. Oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up.
We're looking at each other in the eye. We're not going to say anything derogatory to the other person. And, of course, neither of us is drunk.
So I don't hear Pope Francis saying that he's a prophet, seer, and revelator.
What planet are these people on?
And good luck. Thank you, back from.
See, this is a disgrace.
How'd that happen?
And it's got Chick-fil-A.
Hey, we're getting somewhere.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernefsky.
Fuji!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Special thanks to Kansas City Fringe Festival for allowing us this unique opportunity. Everything, if those of you who are watching this that are new to the podcast, welcome. We got 2 seasons of material already in the can for you guys. And joining me today, one of my good friends in the Kansas City film community. Please welcome Mr. Brian Boye to the podcast. So,
oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm applauding myself. Thank you. Thank you. That is uncalled for, Michael. Already not called for. Nobody called for that.
yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm glad you finally got me on as one of your more interesting friends. So we're stacking towards the end of season 2. All right.
Well, we're in the start of season 3 now, man.
All right. Okay. All right. Start season 3 with a bang. Boom.
Exactly.
As long as I get more downloads and listens than Trevor Martin and Pat Lamb combined, I'm good to go. That's my personal mission.
Yeah. We need to get you at least 120 downloads for that to happen.
It's gonna be that way by week 1.
All right.
Give me 10 days. That's 12 downloads a day.
Yeah. And of course, those were the first 2 episodes with Pat number 1 and then Trevor number 2. So,
well, it's okay. You gotta. That's a soft launch. You start with somebody that's not going to be very compelling, and that way you set your expectations low, so that as your podcast grows, they'll be like, "Wow, he started off really slow with Trevor Martin." But by the beginning of season 3, that's when Mike finally got his podcast legs underneath him. That's when it got good.
I thought Trevor's interview was an interesting one too. He mentioned doing some projects with you, and we talked a little bit about our late friend, Mr. Dave Barry. Everything. You know what? I love Trevor to death because we're like both suburban dads and both, he's guiding me through how to be the parent of a teenage girl, which is its own challenge. But let's be honest, I'm carrying Trevor. All right. If Trevor didn't have me, he would be a boat without a rudder. So you're welcome, Trevor, for all the things I do for you. All right. Yeah. Now, as I think you probably heard the story of how I came up with the name of the podcast, but for those who are new, I'm just going to tell it anyway. Is one of my
all the people that I'm going to breathe. I'm going to bring a lot of new, fresh ears. So explain to my fans why this podcast is uncalled for, Mike.
Okay, so the reason it's called This Podcast is Uncalled For is the very first podcast I did was a little thing called Sunflower Brew, and at the end of every episode, we had a tradition of taking photos with our guests.
Right. Well, one particular guest we had on was Reggie Marcellus. For those not politically inclined, Reggie ran a couple of times for Congress in the Kansas 3rd District, like, with the intention of having someone to run against Kevin Yoder, because, of course, he was unopposed in 2012, and Reggie wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. So the photo, it was Zach Lulia, the hosts, and then Reggie, and then myself, and I'm wearing my hood, my black hooded Duke University sweatshirt, to which one of my political friends commented on Facebook, "Michael Chernovsky, that sweatshirt is uncalled for."
So everything, just a life of uncalled for.
Yeah, pretty much. I thought that was so funny that when I thought about starting this particular podcast, oh, that's pretty funny. So let's have the entire podcast be uncalled for.
Well, and for those that don't know Mike IRL, Mike has like two basic looks. He has hoodie look, and he has football jersey look, with a sprinkling of like a hockey jersey, maybe 2 or 3 times a season.
Right.
Is that an accurate statement, sir?
That would be a fairly accurate statement. Although when I'm teaching chess, which I can't really do right now, there's a third look with the collar and the KC Chess Club.
Do you have like a turtleneck and a jacket with patches on the elbows?
No. But one of my shirts is a long sleeve, not quite a hoodie, but I wear a hoodie underneath it and everything.
So some patches on it, and that'll really like establish you as like the alpha male of the chess club.
That's pretty funny.
That guy's got patches on his elbows. He probably knows what castling is.
Well, that's something every chess player should do early game.
That's the only chess term I know other than like rook to queen something or other. My 12-year-old, I guess he was 10 at the time, beat me at Wizard Chess. We got the Harry Potter chess set, and he beat me in about 8 moves one time. I thought it was a fluke. He beat me in 12 the next time. So I grounded him. He was grounded for 2 weeks for showing up as old man.
That's funny.
And we've never played again. I just assault him in Mario Kart now.
All right. But yeah, castling is a basic chess move that we teach all of our kids to do early game. Knights out, bishops out, castle. Do it in 10 moves. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really gotten that far. Like, I know it involves a little switcheroo. There's some rook action in there. Maybe a little bishop. Like the rook goes here and the bishop goes there. And I don't know how it's supposed to help at all, but I know it's a thing that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is how grandmasters win. Actually, if you look at any grandmaster game, that's how they open. They get their knights out, they get their bishops out, they castle within those first 10 moves.
Look at me. I'm learning something today, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. For all the thrilling chess talk podcasts. Are there a lot of chess podcasts?
I'm sure there are. In fact, there are a couple of episodes of this podcast that are devoted to me talking to chess people. So
I feel like maybe this chess podcast is uncalled for. Could be like a separate thing. Like, I do have a friend of mine, and he has a podcast on choral music, like singing in choirs. So, Mike Chernovsky's niche is really inside jokes and hoodies and football jerseys.
Yeah.
Sprinkled with the occasional castling talk.
Right.
For those people that are into hoodies and jerseys and castling, man, you are like, bam, must see TV in the world of podcasts.
Right.
Must stream podcast audio.
Sure. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, in fact, I think the first time I ever saw you was IFC 2004, I want to say.
Yeah,
and,
we go back. Dude,
yeah.
that's like 16 years.
16 years, yeah, that's amazing.
Dude, were you there when I brought, like, when we had the first baby? Because Riley's...
I do remember, Riley being born and Leonard Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, man.
And, that first meeting, I wore my Isaac Bruce jersey.
Was it? Yeah, I remember. It's always been, Isaac Bruce I've seen a lot.
Yep. Finally going into Camden this year.
Yeah, and well-deserved, so he's a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, so Mike and I have known each other since the early aughts.
Yeah.
He's, Mike, you're an interesting character, and I appreciate you for being that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Mike and I have been on a set many a times. Mike, for those of you that don't know him, Mike's that dude that, like, I need you to go do this horrible thing, and you'd be like, all right, I'll go do it. Like, I'll do the heavy lifting. I'll do the dirty work. Mike's good. Mike's good to have on set. So he's a good worker bee. I appreciate you on my sets.
Hey, no problem. No problem. You know, if you ever, heck, I said this with Trevor too. If you need me help on anything, just let me know. And
you don't need to work with Trevor anymore. He's getting such a big head. You don't even want to. Well, he just sends me memes and Facebook avatars of himself all the time. He's just really full of himself. For somebody that's won no Emmy Awards, I would imagine you should probably check your ego at the door. Unlike somebody on this podcast.
Right, that's right. You have won a couple of Emmys, yeah. So.
Now, regional Emmys, let's clarify it, regional Emmys, but I mean, I could go up the stairs and go grab it and just have it here with me. I
don't think we need to go that far.
Pretty
but,
sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just float that out there. So what you're saying is my Emmy Awards are uncalled for. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
tell me more about how great I am, Michael.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to think about some of the films that we did together and everything. Well, I helped you with your documentary, The Famous Last Words, and which for those of you who have not seen this film, I highly recommend. Have some tissues handy because you will be crying at the end.
I do like making dudes cry, like big burly dudes that get a little weepy. I have like a sweet satisfaction out of putting like big macho dudes in touch with their emotions. I think it's a sick pleasure I get from it.
Yeah. And I also remember, I mentioned Dave. I think, we both worked on, I think it was Dave's final film with the pizza dealer. The pizza. Yeah,
we were both murdered in a doorway that time. Or did you know you murdered me?
That's right. No. That's right. It was my hand murdering you.
But then you got murdered on your own at a separate time, right?
No, that one. No, so what Dave had me do like the very next day was just standing in a pizzeria in Westport facing an angry mob.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where's our pizza? Where's our pizza?
Right. Yeah.
And we turned to another guy that's standing next to me. I forget his name. And we're just, Pizza Hunter! And Schweers comes in and, starts beating some guy up. And
Yeah, that was bizarre. It was a bizarre one. You know, were you on the Taking of Savannah? You helped on that at points, right? The Jeff Chitty film.
No,
that was the one like Paul Campbell shot it. It was out in the woods. That was the one where Crystal was like the Kleenex heiress or something, and she was kidnapped, and murdered her way through a band of foolish kidnappers. So like my Facebook memories today came up, and it was like 10 years ago. Today was the day that I was coming back from that, and like it was the first time I'd been killed on screen, and Crystal had murdered me. She seduced me and then murdered me, which was not cool. But then after so we're shooting in like, you know, north of Kansas City out in this kind of abandoned, spooky old house. And I got poison ivy on my hands at some point when I was out peeing in the woods, and then got poison ivy in like the waistband of my boxers, and literally had poison ivy on my tender regions for like a solid 2 weeks. It was like 2 rounds of antibiotics to get rid of it. I mean, it was
holy crap,
the worst experience I ever had. Now, did I get murdered in a super cool way? Yes. Are Crystal and I still really good friends? Yes. Did it suck to have poison ivy on your wiener? Very yes. Poison ivy was uncalled for.
There you go. Yeah. No, I don't think I was on that film at all. So, but that
was good times.
Can't be on them all. So,
no.
I distinctly remember the New Jersey musical.
New Jersey was good. So so New Jersey the musical was so I'd always wanted to do like a Broadway review. Like they have Rock of Ages, and they had, you know, there was a Billy Joel musical, and I was like, we should do like, I really wanted to do a Bon Jovi musical. Not that I didn't at the time self-identify as a huge Bon Jovi fan, but as I went through it, I realized more and more how much I do really dig kind of what Bon Jovi was in the 1980s and early 90s. So, and I'd had this idea of like the ending was all I had, where it was like people at the very end, like the big finale number was like, we gotta hold on to what we've got in New Jersey. Yeah. And I was like, na 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 na, right? And that was the only idea I had for like a solid year. And I just like, I couldn't figure out how to do this thing. And so at one point we're driving home. So all my family's up in Nebraska. We're driving down I-29. I'm in the family van. I've got the kids in the back. There's like Lion King playing on the DVD player. We're driving, and I'm like in my place, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got it. And I told my wife, she's like, what? And I was like, pen and paper right now. And she's like, what? And I was like, just give me a pen and paper. And so like, and I was like, I start to like, I'm driving and I'm scribbling, and I figure out like this love triangle between Tommy and Gina from Living on a Prayer. Tommy used to work on the dock. Gina works in a diner all day. And then like the cowboy from Wanted Dead or Alive. And he's this gunslinging rock star. And so it's like this love triangle with Tommy and Gina and this rock star. And I realized that I can't possibly explain the subtle nuance of this Bon Jovi love triangle to my wife. So I'm just trying to like write and drive and not kill us all as I'm sketching out this whole plan. And it's like, oh, so then like, so we figured out, I don't know, we probably used clips of about 8 or 9 Bon Jovi songs. Thankfully never got sued.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really a parody. So, but you know, so we did a fake, like a Broadway review of like Broadway across America really put on a Bon Jovi themed Rock of Ages type musical. And I to this day, if I'd have hit Powerball the other night, I think there's enough legs that it could be a real thing, and I think it would be amazing. It's out there. If you search Bon Jovi the musical, it's worth a good 3 minutes. I mean, the trailer gives the whole plot away. I didn't do a very good job of disguising the plot, but yeah, it was a fun thing. We shot it over 2 days, 3 days, 3 days. Yeah. We shot it at this little black box theater. We shot it at the Just Off Broadway theater in Kansas City. It was a little black box theater. And like, I mean, day one was like the hard stuff. We had like a 79. We pulled into the theater. We had this big fog machine. We had like a
That's
cocaine,
right. Casey Fire Department
flying in the
showed
air.
up.
Yeah. So we're running this fog machine nonstop
Mhm.
for a good, I don't know, however long. Well, apparently this fog machine sets off the fire alarms inside the Just Off Broadway Theater. And we got flashing lights and sirens going on. And I'm like, and we can't figure out how to turn it off. And so we're going, and we still like, since we had pre-recorded all of the sound, we still like shot. So there's like flashy like fire alarm lights going off in the corner, and we just used that as like a little subtle like production element. It was a little flashy strobe in the background, so you can see that in one of the big, I think you can see it in the big wide shot near the end. You can see the flashy light of the fire alarm going off. So then we shoot that. All of a sudden somebody goes, can we swear? Can I use a curse word? It's a mild
I swear all the time on this podcast, so go ahead.
Okay. All right. I wanted to be respectful. I didn't know if my swear words were uncalled for. And so I was like, oh, somebody's like, oh shit, the fire department's here. And I was like, wait, what? So I have to go out there and be like, okay, hi guys. We've rented the place. We're supposed to be here. We're cool. We're fine here. There is no fire. We were shooting a video. We had the fog machine going, but we don't know how to turn this thing off. And so they're like, well, okay. So the fire department cannot disengage a fire alarm legally in Kansas City. Apparently that's the rule. So they walk, it was Milo, I think, that walked them back to where the fire stuff was. And they're like, flip this switch here. So Milo has to physically flick it. And they're like, all right, be done with the smoke machine. And we're like, we're good. We shot everything. So then for a hot minute, just for like the most intense thinking I ever had for like 45 seconds, I've got a fire truck in the parking lot of the theater. And I was like, God, how do I use a fire truck? I don't need a fire truck. How can I work these guys into this and try to figure out how to work a real fire truck inside this thing? And then what it really came down to was the Bon Jovi musical takes place on a stage, and I wasn't going to be able to get a fire truck inside the Just Off Broadway theater, and it didn't make sense to shoot outside and break continuity. So for a good 45 seconds, I tried to figure it out, and they were like packing up and likely very unhappy with me, and I'm happy that I didn't get fined by the city.
Right.
But I was like, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We're good. And they went on their way, and Bon Jovi the musical went about its way.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. I still like it. I heard – no, that was the Nickelback thing.
Oh yeah,
that was the Nickelback
the thing that made you
Nickelback
famous in Albany. Yeah.
Right. So I'm a big like hair band and 80s and 90s rock guy, but I can't stand Nickelback. And it's not an ironic, like, oh, I can't stand Nickelback, or people accuse me of like, oh, you're a secret Nickelback fan. I can assure all of the obscure chess-loving podcast world, this filmmaker does not like Nickelback in the least. It's like communism, Nickelback, like way lower. Like Nickelback's the only bad thing to come out of Canada, if you ask me. They've given us, and that considers Justin Bieber. Like, hey, thanks Canada for the Biebs, thanks for Alan Thicke, but you really screwed the pooch with Nickelback. So I come up with this fake public service announcement where it's there was the No Hate campaign.
That's right.
NOH8 campaign, and it was all these celebrities in white shirts with their faces are taped over and it says no hate on them. And it's Dr. Drew and Hugh Hefner's triplets, and like all these D-level celebrities would be like no hate. And I was like, okay, I get it. But so I use that, and so I write this entire
PSA about why Nickelback is great, because Nickelback is great music for strippers to strip to, because they like their pants around their knees. You know, they like the dirty things you do. I like the way you pull my hair. Like, Nickelback writes songs for strippers, and Nickelback writes songs about strippers for strippers, and it gives them ideas for choreography. And it's just so it's like 3 minutes of just like hot girls that aren't, all of them are like great comedic actresses. Not a one of them is a real stripper. I don't know. Surprisingly, I don't know a lot of strippers, Mike. I don't. Shocker.
Two of us.
So we get all these gals, and I actually had to shoot it twice. The first time we did it, the audio was terrible, and I didn't like the way it was pulling off. So I pulled like my 5 or 6 like super great girls, and like I was like, you're gonna do this line and this line and this line, and we just banged it out, and it turned out really, really good, you know. And so it was like, you know, Nickelback, you know, without Canada, we can't blame Canada for Nickelback, because without Canada, we wouldn't have Pamela Anderson or that brunette girl from Lost, or, you know, so yeah, no hate Nickelback was my first thing to kind of go viral, because we've got friends at 98.9 The Rock here in town. They posted on their Facebook page. The program manager there sent the video to like, I know it made it at least as far as like Nickelback regional management. And people are asking me like, if Nickelback sees it and invites you to their show, are you gonna go? And I'm like, no, fuck those guys. Like, no, Nickelback, I will not. And no, just unless there was like a cool band opening that I could see them and be like, cool. And then I drink some of Nickelback's, you know, Labatt Blue, and then like peace out before they start to play, hey, I want to be a rock star, or look at this photograph. So yeah, the hatred of Nickelback is real. It's Nickelback is uncalled for.
All right. There we go.
That's my podcast, Mike. I'm going to start a podcast in the Uncalled For family of podcasts that's just like me drunkenly ranting about, hang on, let me Google a Nickelback song, because I can't possibly name one because they're terrible. Nickelback. Right. Hang on, I'm Googling.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Nickelback songs. So we're going to Google that, and then be like, I'm gonna do a 45-minute diatribe on why Someday is a horrible Nickelback song, or I'm going to talk about Rockstar and about how their song Rockstar is horrible because they're not actual rock stars. And I saw a tweet the other day, and it was like, you know what the world needs in 2020 is a new Nickelback album. And I was like, okay, no, that's when we know the end times are here. If Nickelback's like, you know, this is what we need to do. Mm-hmm. And poor Avril Lavigne, she willingly married that dude or dated that dude. Like, no, sorry, he's not a skater boy. Mm-hmm. And I believe eventually she did say, see you later, boy. So good on her.
Yeah. That's funny you mentioned Avril Lavigne, because that is an artist I cannot stand.
So when are we going to do the anti-Avril Lavigne film? I'm on it. Hey, it's already brewing. She has like 6 songs. There's probably enough to get a solid 2 minutes out of it. It's like she used to be like skater girl, right? She used to be like punk Avril Lavigne, right? Skater boy, Avril Lavigne. But then like she gets a job, you know, and it kind of turns into maybe like 9 to 5 kind of, where she got this crappy boss, or maybe it's like Avril Lavigne / Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where it's like she's got this shitty job in retail, and one day she just breaks free and goes to the skate park, and she meets a skater boy, and they fall in love, and then I don't know, and then she gets lame again and has to go back to Chad Kroeger. That poor thing.
Not saying that everything in Canada said, well, Canada gave us hockey, you know.
Hockey, right? And Robin Sparkles.
Oh yeah,
fan of
that's true. Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. and Paul Schaefer and Alan Thicke. So thank you, Canada, for being America's used to be like awkward cousin, and now they're like the ones that hit it big, and we're like, oh hey Canada, can we come over for Thanksgiving? And they're like, oh I don't know what that's to boot, America. Canada wouldn't have us over with their dreamy prime minister. Do you like beardless Canadian prime minister? What's his name? Justin Trudeau. Bearded or beardless Justin Trudeau?
I really don't care as long as he has good policies for Canada and everything, which, best I could tell, are way better than what we have here right now. With I am going because I feel like bearded Justin Trudeau is just a little too rugged for me. I feel like he might go out and be like beaver trapping or something when he should be focusing on the maple syrup shortage, or how they're going to feed all the horses for the Canadian Mounties. I don't know. I like clean shit. I like a sophisticated Trudeau. So, and Terrence and Phillip. Where would we be without Terrence and Phillip? Those comedy geniuses. Yeah.
Guy. I'm sorry, Guy.
I think I farted.
No, you know what, Mike? I feel like that might be a thing too, because your head is like very like ovular, and I feel like that could be a thing. Like you need to do an animated
in my head and
where you just
off like that.
Just speak like a kid. Right? Oh my God, you guys! Let's talk about chess today. Look at Howie Castles.
Hey, Castle, buddy. Right.
Oh, sorry, Guy. I took you. Check, Guy. Oh, checkmate, Guy. Sorry, my phone is ringing. It's my mother. My mother's calling. Sorry, Mom. I'm podcasting.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, yes, I'm very talented is where we're going with that. I'm very, very talented. Very talented.
Yeah. Since you brought up Google earlier, I did Google the term ThanksRibbing.
Right.
And one of the first things that comes up when you Google the term ThanksRibbing is Brian's photo. Yeah.
This guy coined a phrase. ThanksRibbing. So I believe that the Mcrib is quite possibly the tastiest delicacy known to man. Do I think that they are healthy for us? No.
Hell no.
No, they are not. Have I eaten a quadruple McRib? Yeah. Was it a triple? Was it a McTribble?
Whoa.
I think it was at least a triple. A triple. And I think the next step was the quad that nobody was ever brave enough to. So have I eaten a McTribble? Yes. A McRib with like bun, processed pork patty,
right?
The little bottom, but like kind of Big Mac'd it, Big Mac'd a rib, right? And then when you eat that though, you still have to eat the fry that goes with it too. Otherwise, that's cheating. So, my heart did slow down, but it was a thing that I can say I've done. I'm a fan. I believe that the reason why the McRib is so kind of hit or miss and why they don't do it all the time is because the McRibs are actually made of processed unicorn meat. It's why they taste so magical, Mike. And there's a limited number of unicorns that they have to keep under wraps. So they have to allow them to repopulate so that they can slaughter them and make more McRibs. So it's not actually processed pork. That's what they say. But it's actually McRib is actually unicorn meat that they've processed. I love everything about the McRib. I like the Kaiser roll, right? Perfectly toasted. The sauce, while not a classic, like well-known sauce, very like Midwestern kind of generic, unoffensive sauce.
Sure.
I can do with or without the onions. I usually leave them on just because I'm a purist. And the crunch of the pickle. Like McDonald's pickles, I think are bar none some of the best.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so good. And they don't do it as much anymore, but it used to be like you order the McRib combo for like $4.99 or whatever it was, $5.99. Would you like another
$1 extra? You get the extra sandwich.
That's just like good economics. A whole sandwich for like $1? Yeah, sign me up. Give me the other sandwich.
Yep.
Yes. And I don't want it, it'll go bad. You don't want it to get cold on you.
Oh,
now, over the years, I have learned, don't try to eat a McRib while you're driving, right?
Right.
A, it's messy. It's really messy. You're going to make a mess. B, you're not going to savor it, okay? It's a sandwich that you don't want to just like hold on to and jam while you're like driving. You want to like be able to set it down, contemplate it, kind of really enjoy kind of the savoriness and the kind of the feel of the Kaiser roll underneath your fingers. You want to take some Instagram pictures just to piss off all the people that think they're gross and taste like shoe leather. I get it. It's not for you. Whatever. It's my jam. An unapologetic McRib guy. I have gone to the McRib Finder websites when it's getting to be close to ThanksRibbing season.
Right.
I do actively like seek them out. I do have a network of friends that be like, hey, I saw him at, Metcalf Avenue and 435, and I'm like out the door. Like I go a running. Last year was my lowest McRib year, and I think I only had 2 McRibs last year. But I was also very busy. It was not a good. So maybe I'll make up for that this year if and when they come back. Although that was like 2 ThanksRibbings ago. So I don't know if they even put them out this past year. Usually it's like October, November, December.
Right.
Thanksgiving time. So that's where the term origined, because it was we were grateful for the return of Thanksgiving. And we came together. We get a group of about, I don't know, half a dozen to 10 of us, go to the McDonald's in Westport in Midtown across from Chubby's and eat some McRibs.
Yep.
And they would just look at us like crazy people. And it was true. We were crazy for McRibs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a good sandwich. And more of a Kansas City style sauce. I know it's supposed to be a knockoff of Carolina barbecue, and they use more of either mustard or just plain ketchup with their sauces. And
I've seen like recipes like, here's how you make a real McRib, where they take like, a slab of like 4 St. Louis style ribs and they just smoke it on the smoker until it's so tender the bones pull out. And it's like, that's not the point. It's not the point. It's supposed to be not good for you. It's supposed to be a hot mess.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that way. It's McDonald's. Like what were you expecting?
Certainly not St. Louis style ribs. And
no, I won't ever do that. I think it looks good. I think it might be a tasty sandwich. It's not a McRib.
Yeah.
I draw that line in the sand.
Yeah.
Nickelback, not good music. Homemade St. Louis style, make your own McRib, also not the same.
Right. And for those who are wondering what St. Louis style, it just refers to the cuts of the ribs. And I learned this again from my first podcast. There is a right way and a wrong way to turn in St. Louis style ribs for competition.
What's that? What's the difference when you turn them in? Because I don't do competition.
I believe when we did it on the podcast, I'm going to revisit this, but they were turned in upside down.
Like curvy side up?
Yes. Curvy side up would be upside down.
But there's nothing tasty there to see. Like, then you don't get to present your meat. I watch a lot of Food Network because I'm in my 40s.
Right.
So, okay. All right. I will take that under advisement.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was an interesting experience, having actual barbecue judges on the podcast. And that one, I remember, is near the end of the run, and we split it up into 4 parts. So the first part was chicken. The second part was the ribs. And then part 3 was the pulled pork, and part 4, the briskets.
See, now, as I've been in the suburbs, I got myself a really nice smoker. Not a super nice one, kind of an entry-level one. But, like, I'm constantly, like, pushing myself to try new things. I can do a pretty good rib. Are you the type that likes it to be, like, your ribs to completely fall off bone? Because I like mine to have a little bite. I like it to be tender, but I like it to not just all completely pull off and fall over. I want to take a bite, get a bite out of it, and then if I want to tear it off, I want to tear it off.
Yeah, I think I'm closer to you in that regard.
I want it to pull.
They get
just
messy when they fall off the bone. So.
Right? Yeah. It's no fun. That part of the fun is eating it off the bone, and if it all just slips off, homemade McDonald's McRib sandwich. If the bone just pulls out, that's why are we eating meat off a bone then?
Right.
Foolish. It's foolish.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many opinions that are 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good to have me on this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we can also make the argument. I'm a big fan of chicken legs. Come on, those are
right
on the bone. Those are on the bone, right? So.
Yeah, I've yet to kind of perfect that. I got my flavors down. I can't get my cook right. They get a little chewy on me.
Sure.
So yeah, it's still a process.
Yeah, a lot of experimentation with cooking and everything. And we've talked about cooking in restaurants and everything on this podcast already.
Well, I get frustrated when like I spend all weekend like getting ready to do this awesome cook for my wife and kids, and then like my flavors will be on point, but I'll mess up the technique, or my meat will stall, or it won't shred right, and then like it's like Sunday evening and it's like 6:30, and I'm like just so mad that like I messed it up, or like I had a technical difficulty, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe, and then I can't even enjoy it. My flavors are there, but my technique was wrong, and I get all angry at myself.
And I also think it's important for meats, especially, to be cooked properly, because you don't want to get sick from.
Well, yeah, I hit it all, but like, I did a pork butt the other day. I was gonna make pulled pork, and then my grill stalled, and then my meat stalled, and so I couldn't get it to like 205 to where it'll rip apart. Like it was at 165, so it was cooked. But I couldn't get it to rip apart. So I had to like chop it like kind of Gates style, and just had like chopped pork instead of pulled pork. And it was okay. It was just, I was disappointed because I wanted like the nice pulley pork thing, but it's still fun.
Sure.
Yeah, and I have picky kids. My kids are super picky. Like one will eat Mexican and the other one can't stand it. And one of my kids doesn't eat cheese. He doesn't like cheese. I don't get it. He doesn't like anything cheese. But like the one consistent thing I can get them to eat is like pulled pork or ribs or almost anything barbecue. They're usually down for it, which is fun. You just have to like not like make anything super hot or super spicy,
right?
Because they're like anything with like flavor. They're like, I'm out. So you have to like kind of tiptoe into it, or I'll make like 2 slabs of ribs, and like one's for me and my wife, and one's for the kids. That's super plain.
All right, yeah, I could see that working too. Yeah. So, now, of course, since we're on the subject of barbecue, I know you're a big Arthur Bryant's fan. Me, I personally don't like it, but I think we all agree that Gates, right?
It depends. I kind of have 2 categories of Kansas City barbecue. I can appreciate a Jack Stack, a Q39, a very good like restaurant quality, like sit down, white linen napkins. Like I appreciate that. I do like Jack Stack. It was the first Kansas City barbecue I ever had on my honeymoon. Like the Martin City location for life, right? That's my jam. But man, Arthur Bryant's, man, there's like so much history, and like the floors are gross, and it just adds to the charm and the charisma. I took my mom to Gates a couple of years, like last year she was in town, and she got, well, my mom, I kind of had prepped my mom and my sister, who's 10 years younger than me, and her husband were there, and I told them nothing. So like we got in the door and it was lunch rush, so they kind of saw what was up, but they're like, my sister like got kind of big-eyed, and she's like, what do I do? And it's like, just order this and make it quick, make it snappy.
Yeah.
And you're still like 2 or 3 people back, but they're working so far ahead on the orders. Like you're still around the corner, and they're like, can I help? Can I help you?
I help you.
And I'm like, And she's like, we're not. And my sister's trying to be like, we'll get there, we'll order. And she's like, may I help you? And I was like, order. Just shout it.
That's their thing, all right, folks. That's just their thing.
She's gonna yell at you until you give her your order. Yeah. So go ahead. Gates, Gates sauce is great to cook with. It's a good one. Very good. A little bit of spice to it. I like the Gates. My favorite at Gates is the sausage. Really good snap to their sausage. Big fan of that.
All right. Cool. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Jack Stack because, I've been doing DoorDash deliveries, especially during the pandemic, and I've got a lot of requests for Jack Stack. The one closest to me is Metcalf and 95th.
Right.
And they've been awesome to deal with.
I think cheesy corn can heal America. If we could just get cheesy corn to everybody, I think it might be. But then I have one asshole kid that doesn't like cheese, but they don't eat corn either. So whatever. It's just more cheesy corn for me.
Sure. And I think one restaurant that's very underrated, they're closed at the moment, but Rosedale, I think, is very underrated.
I don't know if I've ever been there because I'm not really ever on that side of town. Mm-hmm. My go-to, there's a couple of my hidden gems are Johnny's, kind of in the Merriam Fairway area. Mm-hmm. Their chicken is phenomenal because they'll smoke it and then they flash fry it so it's extra crispy. Smoking Guns, love me some Smoking Guns. And then what's the other one over by the TV station? Kind of near Johnny's.
RJ's?
RJ's. Yeah, RJ's is kind of a little hidden gem too. They've got some really good things on there too. But yeah, I do love Arthur Bryant's. If I have to pick one, it's Arthur Bryant's. Okay. It's the sauce, man. It's the sauce. It's like plain white bread in the sauce. One time I got to shoot video back there. I was on the line shooting video of the pit. And I was like, I felt like I was a part of Kansas City history for a hot minute.
Right. Rosedale, I was kind of introduced to during my KCPT internship. And during that internship, found out, they did a program called Checks Please KC. And they reviewed, for those unfamiliar, I think you can still find it on YouTube. It's a restaurant review show. They have a bunch of people from the community come in, take restaurants to review, and they review them. They try the food and everything. Rosedale was suggested by Matt McClellan's, who was the studio manager at KCPT. He was also the guy in charge of my internship.
Okay. Yeah. I did at one point. I was craving some Kansas City barbecue, and I couldn't figure out between Joe's and Jack Stack and Bryant's. I just couldn't decide. Mm-hmm. So I just hit one each day. I did the three kings of Kansas City barbecue, and I hit them up 1, 2, 3 day after day. It was so expensive. It was stupid for me to eat lunches, and I had to drive so far to get but I do recommend doing that. Mm-hmm. Or take 5, add in a couple of another ones, and just go 5 days in a row. See if you can hammer it.
And I'm going to say this as a caveat with, they used to be Oklahoma Joe's, but now they're just Joe's. Expect to be standing in that line for about an hour.
Yeah, sometimes you can get lucky. But it's worth it. It's worth the stand. And you know what? The days where you do walk up and you just walk up 3, 4 deep, and just walk right up, that makes it even more special. That makes you feel like you know something or you know somebody. Mm-hmm. We just walk right up to the front of the queue. Yep. So it's good. There's too many good options.
I agree.
You could easily go a solid 3 months and never go to the same place.
True that. Plus, we have other food besides barbecue in this town.
No, I think Kansas City is a pretty vastly underrated city for a lot of reasons.
Oh yeah. I think a lot of people hear Kansas City, they immediately think, it's all about barbecue and everything.
As we just spend 10 minutes talking about barbecue.
That's true. And that also kind of reminds me of Emerson's Tour of KC video.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is where we get barbecue. This is where we get barbecue.
Right. Yeah.
All those
Yeah, that was.
yeah.
It's good. Yeah, we're really lucky. It's one of the things that Kansas City is really fortunate about is having such a collectively like talented group of content creators, you know, and musicians, and you know, there's still great jazz and blues musicians here in Kansas City, and the film scene is, you know, is really good, and we've got some people that are knocking out really great kind of national level content. And then there's, you know, schlubs like you and me that just like to get together with our friends and do something that makes us laugh and makes other people laugh, or makes people cry and gets people to have conversations. And I think that's one of the great things about Kansas City is I think our artist community, I feel like more than in a lot of major cities kind of, you know, feels the symbiotic relationship between all of us. And I think that's one of the great things about Kansas City art in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree. We have a great film community here, great acting community. And yeah, some of them do go on to bigger and better things. Going back to the Nickelback thing, I know Ayla Glass was one of your actors, and she's off in Hollywood now.
Yeah.
Ayla,
she's a phenomenally talented girl. Lady. And there's just so many. Well, and that's the thing about the way I work. A lot of my content is a little cheeky, and it's a little saucy, and it's a little sexy. And because I like to work in that genre, because I think that funny women can also be beautiful women. And I think they can be on the joke that people don't expect pretty women to be funny. You know, that's all, you know, you could be one or the other. And I love it when we can get a smart, talented actress to play a little vampy or a little yada-da, and be in on it. And it's not exploitative. It's because we've asked them. You will never have anybody on one of my sets say that we acted inappropriately. Everybody's treated with respect. It's a great thing. I go out of my way to say if and this is a filmmaker tip, if you're working with an actor that's in any sort of a, you know, costume, scantily clad thing, you got to look at him and be like, listen, if at any moment you feel weird or funky or get a vibe, you shoot me a look or you come tell me and I will shut it down until you are comfortable. You are an actress. It's just your costume is smaller than normal. I get it. We put you in a vulnerable position. I will do everything I can so that you can still be funny and you can be comfortable, because you're not going to be funny if you're not comfortable. And I want you to feel like, you know, my crew, my people that I work with were tight. I don't bring a lot of outsiders into my group. I get people that I know, that I trust, because I know that they'll handle themselves on set. And I know that, you know, Ayla Glass or, you know, Amanda Riley or any of these supremely funny, talented girls who just happen to be curvy and have big boobs and big hips and look sexy. She's got like half a dozen big brothers there too that would never want to hurt her feelings or offend her or shock her, because we want to work with her and we think they're really great. Sabrina Henderson and you know, just all these actresses, and Kelly Farrah is an amazingly underutilized actress, and she's a social justice warrior now, and I'm so proud of her. And I'm so proud of like all these amazingly talented women that have kind of found their niche and found their voice. And whether it's continuing to be in comedy or in acting, or if it's being a mom and being a kick-ass mom, or being a advocate for social reform, or, you know, whatever, like there's some really talented ladies that I've worked with over the years, and I really value and treasure their relationship and their respect. I've worked with Crystal a bunch. I love Crystal to death. She gets it. She's in on the joke. She, you know, we can, when we can have less of a filter, and when we can not have to worry about tiptoeing around people because they know that our intentions are pure and it's not exploitative, I think you can get people to kind of stretch their boundaries a little bit and have a little fun with it and be a little cheeky and a little winking at, you know, you know. So I think that's one of the great things about a lot of the people that we've met over the years is they get the joke. They're in on it. and they dig it. You know, they're a part of it. They're not being victimized; they're victimizing themselves.
Right. Yeah, I think it's Kelly that's told me about IFC. That's when I first started. I'd met her like a week before. That's because I was in an improv group at the time, and she and Deb Keeney came to the last ever meeting for this improv group, and that's when she told me, "Hey, you should check out IFC and everything." And then a couple of years later, she's playing my wife in a Micah Husero short film called F and Bottle of Bleach.
Right. Yeah. That's a classic. That's a classic one.
For those who haven't seen it, unfortunately, it's no longer on YouTube. But Kelly plays a housewife who starts seeing bleach. Everything is bleach bottles with different messages on it, and I play the husband and calling her crazy and everything. Clearly, she is, and
some would argue still to this day she is, whether she's acting or not.
Yeah, and my favorite of these instances, I'm eating chocolate chip cookies, and the scene is I'm eating the cookie, and I'm kind of berating her, like the cookie says I'm cheating on you and everything, and I hold up the cookie, and it's actually the bleach bottle, and it says worship Satan on the label.
Yeah.
Maybe I will start cheating on you if you keep this out. For mime is I'm biting into the bleach bottle, but I'm actually biting into a cookie.
One of my favorite Kelly Farrah movies was the One Night Stand we did with, it was at Dave Barry's house, and Bill Connolly and Deb was there, and it was like the Lovers Triangle one.
Is this the one where you kissed a guy? It
was the one where I had an award-winning kiss with the gentleman, sir. So it was the one night stand. So the concept of the one night stand is it's a 10-hour thing where we write, shoot, and film, or we shoot and edit a film all in like 10 hours. Yep. And so it was like a love triangle thing where like I'm getting off a plane and Kelly and this dude are laying in bed and they're like, should we tell him? And it's like this whole thing that, Kelly's cheating on me. And so it's just like me angrily stomping through the city of Kansas City, walking over bridges. I'm like walking home because everybody's forgot to pick me up. And I finally get home. And then the big twist is that I'm not married to Kelly. I'm married to the dude. What was his name? It was Mike something or other.
Mike Gallagher, I believe it was.
Mike Gallagher, correct. And so like the thing was that, so he was my husband. And so, there was a gay kiss, and I'm not really an actor. Like I can do a thing for a bit, but I'm still not comfortable doing it after all these years.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I had to give him this kiss. And the first time we did it, it was like, oh, I don't believe it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And I don't think I had definitely never kissed anybody on screen. Mm-hmm. I don't think he had either. And I was like, buddy, I'm gonna right before we roll the second take, I was like, I'm gonna get you. And he's like, okay, go for it. I was like, otherwise we're here all day. And he's like, okay. Go. He's like, all right. And so like, I kissed the hell out of that guy. Like I got him. And so I remember it was super hot that day and we were in some venue. It was really hot. Yeah. And it was, okay, I can place the year because Jody was insanely pregnant. So it would have been summer.
It was 2005.
And Jody is like,
I remember.
I mean, so One Night Stand is at the beginning of June. Riley's birthday is at the end of June. So she is like 38 weeks pregnant and and everybody's like, what did you think of that? You're at home pregnant and he's off making movies and kissing dudes. And she's like, I thought the kiss was hot. Like it was a good scene. Like she's completely unflappable. And that's one of the great things about my wife is that she allows me to like kind of be this exclamation mark version of myself. Mm-hmm. There's like the all caps exclamation mark _ bold faced Brian that most of the world sees, and rightfully so because he's amazing. But then like she also gets to see like fleece pajamas and slippers on the weekend, low key worrying about a pulled pork Brian that's in the suburbs. And so yeah, people that have never met my wife, and I've said this for years, people have never met my wife, they'd be like, she must be really patient And I'm like, yeah, yeah, she's an angel. Like she's happily put up with all of this since 1992. God bless her. And yeah, we've been married 21 years, 22 years this August. So yeah, I've been really fortunate to kind of surround myself with some really great people that allow me to, you know, to be me. And I'm really best. I've self-identified this years ago. I'm really at my best when I've got like a kind of a nerdier tech person who's most of the time like Dave Barry or like some other people that I've partnered with over the years, to where I can be like, oh my gosh, we should do this. We should do a Bon Jovi musical. And then we're like, okay, well, we can do this and this and this, and we should do this, and I can do this. Okay, great, let's do that. Hey, let's do a Nickelback thing. Okay, great. Or like in my professional life, I'm great when I have, you know, like I make commercials for a living, so I'm still writing and producing and editing. But like I'm like, let's do this, and I don't know how to do this in After Effects, and my editor's like, well, I can do that. We can just da-da-da-da-da. Okay, great. Well, what if we did this? And I'm like, okay. So I have enough knowledge over the course of the years to where if I needed to, I could probably slog my way through masking out or comping a thing in After Effects or editing a thing, to where if I had to, what I could. But like somebody else who's kind of a little more skilled and adept at doing what they do because they do it full time, and I'm more of a writer and a kind of details person, and they're like a tippity tap person. It's a great situation for me, and it's great to partner with people that have complementary skills to what I'm able to do.
Of course, yeah, awesome. Yeah, I do remember that year because I did a one night stand with Jen Davis that year. In fact, it was right after that shared audition that we did at the coffee house. Everything nice, yeah, just a sweet little short film. But come on, it didn't. Come on, kissing a guy. That there you go. There you go.
I mean, who doesn't want to see two really good-looking dudes make out with each other? I mean, for 2005, it was then it was still kind of a little, you know, even at now in 2020, 15 years later, like it barely bats an eye, but at least in 05, it was still kind of like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. As you know, I'm a pretty big Trekkie, and one of the things that made news with the Discovery series, the first openly gay couple that were ship regulars, and this is well over 50 years after the whole damn thing started. So, yeah.
Well, Tasha Yar was definitely into Data.
Fully functional, yeah.
And they were both kind of asexual, but we didn't have that term back then. I don't know. They were a thing. Were they a thing?
Just the one time when they had that drunk disease going around, and
you know, once you go,
he was fully functional and everything.
Once you go Android, you never go back. It's true.
And then they killed her off later that season. So.
It's a shame.
In fact, since we're mentioned, Denise Crosby, you know, the actress that played Tasha, I guess her son was drafted by the Royals last year as a pitcher.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That's weird. All right. That's a weird flex, but all right. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
That's still pretty cool, though, right?
I dig that. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
All right. Well, we've gone about an hour. So, all right. Well, thanks, Brian, for being on the podcast, and I will certainly let you know when it's is published. And for those of you watching Virtual Fringe, thank you, and we hope to be actually back in a theater sometime in 2021. But for now,
is coronavirus uncalled for?
Yes, it is.
You know what else? what else is uncalled for is systemic racial injustice.
That too.
And Black Lives Matter are called for. So keep up the fight, Fringers. We love you all.
Exactly. And please feel free to like our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/uncalledforpodcast. Please feel free to check out our blog with the show notes, which is uncalledfor.home.blog. You can find us on Google Podcasts, on Stitcher, Pandora, pretty much any podcast software that's out there of your choice. And take it easy, and we hope to see you again in 2021. Hopefully, actually live.
Real life people that we can actually hug.
Exactly. All right.
When I see you, when it's finally safe, buddy, I'm giving you a big old hug, buddy.
All right. Yeah, same here, bud.
All right.
Peace, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
Bye.